You know, when you think about ancient India, a lot of incredible empires come to mind, but there's one that just shines a little brighter than the rest, the Gupta Empire. We're talking about the 4th to the 6th century, an era of such peace, wealth, and mind-blowing intellectual achievement that it's famously called India's Golden Age.
But that really makes you wonder, right? What does Golden Age even mean? Is it just about having a ton of money and a powerful army? Or is it something more? Well, the story of the Guptas is the perfect place to look for answers. It's a story about a remarkable explosion of culture, science, and art that honestly left a huge mark on the entire world.
Every great empire has to start somewhere, and the Guptas are no different. They didn't just pop up out of nowhere. The whole dynasty was founded in the late 3rd century by a ruler named Sri Gupta, who started out with a pretty small kingdom over in what's now eastern India.
Okay, so Sri Gupta laid the groundwork, but it was the rulers who came after him that really put the empire on the map. There were a few key players who were absolutely crucial in this big expansion, starting with the guy who basically announced their grand ambitions to the world.
Around 320 CE, Chandragupta I takes the throne. And let me tell you, he was not subtle about his goals. He takes on this grand title, Maharaja Dirja, which means King of Kings. But he wasn't just about fancy titles. He made an incredibly smart move by marrying Kumara Devi from the super powerful Lichavi clan. That alliance was like rocket fuel for their early expansion.
After Chandragupta I came his son, Samudragupta, and this guy was one of the most brilliant military commanders in Indian history. His campaigns were so vast, they're literally carved into stone on the Allahabad pillar inscription, which basically reads like a laundry list of him conquering kingdom after kingdom.
In fact, his military genius was so off the charts that modern historians actually gave him a nickname, the Napoleon of India. I mean, that alone tells you everything you need to know about the sheer scale of his success.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Samudragupta wasn't just a warrior, not even close. He was a huge supporter of the arts. And get this, some of his own gold coins show him not holding a sword, but playing the veena, which is a stringed instrument. It just shows you what a complex person he was, a brilliant conqueror who also deeply valued culture.
All right, let's move on to the absolute peak of the empire. This all happened under Samudragupta's successor, Chandragupta II, who you might also know as Vikramaditya. His reign was when all the seeds planted by his father and grandfather just blossomed into this incredible golden age of wealth and culture.
So what fueled this golden age? Well, a lot of it came down to economic power. Chandragupta II expanded the empire west by taking down the Shaka rulers. Now, this wasn't just a land grab. It gave the Guptas control over these incredibly wealthy port cities, opening up trade routes with major powers, including the Roman Empire. All that wealth pouring in is perfectly captured by these beautiful gold coins from the time, called dinars.
And all this new prosperity led to an explosion of brainpower. The court of Chandragupta II became legendary for hosting the Navaratnas, or the 9 gems, basically a council of the most brilliant minds alive at the time. Topping that list was the poet Kalidasa, whose plays and poems are still considered some of the greatest masterpieces in all of Sanskrit literature.
But you know, a golden age isn't just built on powerful rulers and famous poets. It was really defined by these groundbreaking ideas and new ways of running things that created a stable, innovative society.
In fact, during this period in India, mathematicians and thinkers came up with a concept so fundamental, so revolutionary, that it would literally change the course of science and business forever. I'm not kidding. It's something you and I use every single day without even thinking about it.
Zero. Yep. The number 0. The concept of 0 as both a number and a placeholder, along with the decimal system we all use, was developed in this era. Just stop and think about that for a second. Modern computing, finance, engineering, absolutely none of it would be possible without this one incredible invention.
And the genius didn't stop there, not by a long shot. An astronomer named Aryabhata figured out that the Earth spins on its own axis centuries before Copernicus. They calculated the value of pi with unbelievable accuracy. We have medical texts from the time describing complex operations like plastic surgery and cataract removal. And amazing institutions like Nalanda University became these global hubs of learning, attracting students from all over Asia.
So you might be wondering, how did they manage this huge, thriving empire? Well, their whole approach was totally different from the earlier Mauryan Empire. While the Mauryans tried to control every little thing from the top down, the Guptas went with a more decentralized model. They gave provinces and local villages a lot of freedom to govern themselves. This was super smart. It built loyalty and made the whole empire much more stable and easier to manage.
And of course, you can see this legacy immortalized in their art. Gupta art is considered a classical high point. We're talking about these incredibly serene and perfectly proportioned Buddha sculptures and the breathtaking paintings inside the Ajanta caves. They also pioneered early Hindu temple architecture, creating the blueprints for styles that would be used for the next 1,000 years.
But, as they say, all good things must come to an end, and the Golden Age couldn't last forever. The final chapter of the Gupta Empire is one of decline, but don't let that fool you. Its influence was so deep that it would continue to shape India long after the empire itself was gone.
So, after the reign of one of the later rulers, Chandragupta, the central government really started to weaken. And by the middle of the 6th century, that once mighty empire had pretty much fractured into a bunch of smaller, separate kingdoms.
So, what happened? What went wrong? Well, it was kind of a perfect storm. On the outside, they were dealing with these relentless invasions from Huna tribes that were draining their money and manpower. And on the inside, there were constant fights over who should be the next emperor, which weakened the dynasty at the worst possible time. It was all just too much strain on the economy.
But here's the most important takeaway. The end of the Gupta Empire was not the end of the Gupta legacy. The political structure might have fallen apart, but the ideas, those ideas were here to stay. The breakthroughs in science, the masterpieces of art, the philosophy, all of it became part of the very foundation of Indian civilization. Which really brings us back to today, doesn't it? From the number 0 you see on your screen right now, to ideas in astronomy and medicine that we take for granted. It just makes you wonder, how many parts of our modern world were quietly shaped by the incredible innovations of this ancient golden age? It's a legacy that's truly timeless.